Quoting a BMW key replacement by year and model alone is a shortcut. It feels efficient in the moment, but it almost always leads to lost profit and mismatched expectations. Let's say a caller has a 2014 BMW 328i. They have no reliable spare key, and they demand a firm price right now before you dispatch a van. When you're running a mobile route, the pressure to secure the job is heavy. You want to give them a number, appease their impatience, and get the commitment. So you take the input you have. You rely entirely on the phrase 2014 328i to build your pricing model over the phone. Because you hear a familiar year and model, you assume the vehicle uses a standard, easily programmable OBD system. You calculate your travel and part costs based on a quick 20-minute plug-and-play job. But if you guess wrong, you lock yourself into a low price and absorb the liability of a job that might actually require specialized module handling, bench work, or authorization credentials you don't carry. We are not going to look at programming steps or bypass methods today. This is an exercise in business intake and quote risk triage. BMW marketing names and model years are incomplete engineering data. Quoting without verifying the underlying technical facts is a reckless gamble for your business. To navigate BMW quoting, you need to use chassis labels, the E, F, and G series, but treat them as navigation aids, not definitive proof of a vehicle's immobilizer setup. Historically, older E-series vehicles predominantly map to the CAS3 car access system architecture. This schematic maps the CAS3 system. Even in this older architecture, you have specific unidirectional data transmission lines connecting the car access system directly to the digital motor electronics and the starter, which means you already need specific authorization protocols to operate. When BMW expanded into the F-series chassis, early or higher-end models introduced the CAS4 family, which required different handling. But a mid-sized F chassis, like our caller's 2014 328i, which runs on the F30 platform, is highly likely to utilize the FEM, or Front Electronic Module family. Here is where the intake process breaks down. You look at a generic chart online, and it confirms the 2014 3 Series is an F30. You use that chart to broadly assume the vehicle has an FEM system, and you price it accordingly without any further validation. Public tables are only screening aids. If you proceed without verifying the exact VIN, the build date, and the specific module ID, you risk arriving at the vehicle completely unprepared. Operationally, the FEM is a highly secure controller. It integrates car access functions, body control, and gateway routing into a single system, superseding the older standalone CAS units. Trusting a simple year and model chart without verifying the underlying security architecture sets you up for a technical failure on site, which ruins your schedule for the rest of the day. Let's look at the business economics of an unverified quote. This chart visualizes your profit margin. That large green bar is your assumed total profit. That is the money you expect to make on a smooth, standard key programming job. But we have to risk adjust that quote. Every piece of missing intake information actively subtracts value. When you arrive and find an unexpected module, you are immediately subtracting 30 minutes of on-site administrative time just to identify what you are actually working on. Then you realize the tools you brought in the van cannot safely handle this vehicle's true security tier. You end up absorbing unpaid travel time and wasting your technician's availability, only to have them drive back to the shop empty-handed. You must factor in the friction of sourcing authorization credentials for advanced modules, causing delays. If you pre-ordered a key on a blind guess and it doesn't match the unverified system's frequency, you swallow the wrong part risk and potential callbacks. Your true margin looks entirely different from the optimistic quote you gave over the phone. A job you perceived as a $200 profit can seamlessly mutate into a $50 net loss in shop time. Pre-job verification is a financial mandate. Owner-operators must use a structured triage framework before agreeing to any complex automotive job. You have 4 paths: quote, verify first, refer, or attempt only. Path 1 is issuing a firm quote, taken only when the immobilizer family is verified as low risk. Path 2 is the verify first route. You pause the quote and demand a VIN to check exact service data. Path 3 is immediate referral. If the verified module exceeds your current capability, you send the job to a specialist. Path 4 relies on attempt-only pricing terms to mathematically mitigate your risk if the scope of work remains ambiguous. When you aggressively hold your boundaries by choosing the verify first path and demanding that VIN, you force clarity. That clarity might reveal the vehicle belongs to a complex generation, requiring bench work that your shop cannot currently support. You may lose a highly impatient customer today, but you actively protect your shop from deploying a van to an unprofitable disaster. Proper identification dictates your credential readiness. Turning away bad jobs is the ultimate leverage you have for maintaining profitability. Relying on your own mental memory to track overlapping chassis years and security families inevitably causes repetitive, expensive mistakes. You need an operating layer where the shop systematically organizes intake data, source checks, and customer expectations. A dedicated job memory layer ensures that the next time a complex 3 Series quote is requested, your shop starts from validated historical data rather than guessing from scratch. You can use AutoSmith Pro to manage your intake triage, run the quote math, and organize repeatable decision records. Go to autosmithpro.com/business/jobs. Professional automotive locksmithing relies on correct identification, verified documentation, and ruthless business math. It does not run on blind quotes.